everyone. Welcome back to Farmer Stephanie's Garden of Eden, where I share with you what I know, sow, and grow in my garden. But what good would growing things in the garden be if we weren't going to also eat the garden? And so today I'm Chef Steph, and I'm here to share with you a recipe for a creamy potato leek soup with a chive blossom garnish. I have most of my ingredients ready here, but the most important ingredient, the chives, still need to be picked. Let's go check out the chives and pick a few chive blossoms for our recipe today. So these are my chive plants that I have on my front porch. As you can see, these chives here on the left are just starting to bloom, and these ones have maybe just a few days to go. So it's the perfect time to start picking chives and making recipes with them. To pick chives is fairly simple. I have a pair of kitchen shears here, and I'm just going to pick one stalk, and I'm actually going to cut the whole stalk because I do want to put some snipped chives in my soup as well. And so I'm just going to snip at the bottom here, and I have one stalk with this nice purple pom-pom flower on it. And so I'm going to pick a few of these and take them back inside, and we'll be ready to start cooking. So now we have our chive blossoms and our chive stems, which have been snipped into smaller pieces here with those kitchen shears after washing, added to our ingredients. Now we have all of our ingredients prepared and ready to go because that makes things simple as we start cooking this recipe, and we're ready to begin. The first step in this recipe is we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of butter into a pot over medium-low heat. We're going to melt this butter in this pot. And to that melted butter, we're going to add 1 leek. This leek I have sliced into about 1/4 inch slices, and I'm using the white and the light green parts. I don't want a whole lot of the darker green pieces of the leek because I want this soup to end up taking on a nice creamy white color. And so the more green we would have, the more green tint we would end up with in our soup. And we're going to cover this pot with this melted butter and these leeks. And we're going to cook that for about 5 to 8 minutes until the leek has softened. Not browned, not burnt, but softened. Now that our leek has softened in that melted butter, we're going to add 1 pound of peeled, washed, and cubed potatoes. I'm using ordinary russet potatoes, but you could use any other type of potato you would like as well. In the case of my russet potatoes, approximately 1 pound was about 4 medium russet potatoes, in the event you don't have a food scale to measure it out. So we're going to add our 1 pound of potatoes. And we're also going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. In addition, we're going to add 1/3 of a cup of a dry white wine. Here I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc, but you could also use a Pinot Grigio. And finally, we're going to add just a dash of table salt and a dash of ground white pepper. We're going to turn the heat up and bring this to a boil. Once it's come to a boil, we will turn it back down and simmer for about 20 to 25 minutes until the potatoes are also nice and soft. We've been cooking this for about 20 minutes now, and everything is nice and soft. And so now it's time to use what just might be my favorite kitchen appliance, the immersion blender. The immersion blender or stick blender is designed so that we can blend this soup up right here in the pot. If you don't have an immersion blender, you can turn the heat down and cool your soup down just a little bit and work in batches using an ordinary kitchen blender. But I'm going to go ahead and use my stick blender and blend this all up just until everything is well blended. I don't want to over mix it or over blend it, but I do want to get a nice sort of creamy consistency to my soup. So now everything has been creamed together with my immersion blender, and to this we're going to add half a cup of heavy cream. And we're going to mix this all up, bring it back up to temperature, and then we'll be ready to serve. All right, our heavy cream has been well incorporated, our soup is all nice and warm, and it's time to serve. This recipe would make about 2 bowls if it were being served in a bowl as a full portion. However, if you want to serve this as an appetizer or maybe for a brunch or a bridal shower, you can also do what I think is quite fun and put your soup in a teacup. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And so we're going to plate our soup into our teacup. And now we'll garnish. I'm going to garnish this with 1 chive blossom that I'm just going to float on top, some of my snipped chives, and maybe a crouton or 2. My croutons here are the garlic cheese croutons. You can use whatever type of crouton suits your fancy, and bonus points if you make the croutons yourself. And there we have creamy potato leek soup with a chive blossom garnish. If you like, with your teacup on your tea plate, you can even add a few extra croutons. And it's ready to serve. Enjoy!